Welcome to the House of Agents podcast, where we teach you what real estate school didn't, interviewing incredible agents and real estate professionals from all across the world and highlighting what really matters to build a scalable and sustainable real estate business. If you haven't already, hit that subscribe button, buckle in because we have got an incredible episode for you today. Thank you so much for being here. And as always, thank you for being a part of the neighborhood. Thank you guys, everyone, for joining us for another episode of the House of Agents podcast, where we teach you what real estate school didn't. Now, today I have Miss Brittany here from Dallas, Texas. We are so excited to chat with you. So, Brittany, thank you so much for joining us today.
Of course. Thank you so much for having me.
Yeah, of course. Well, first things first, would you mind giving us, I love to just kind of get the cliff notes of, what got you into real estate in the first place? What pulled you into this world? Because I find that everyone has a little bit of a different origin story that got you started. So give me kind of the cliff notes on how you got into real estate.
Yeah, well, I'll be shocked to hear if my intro to real estate is similar to what you've heard from people in the past, because I was in the service industry. I was a bartender turned real estate agent, which I hear is super common, or at least so I've realized over the last almost 10 years meeting tons of agents. So I was bartending at this really nice steakhouse. So I had a lot of affluent regulars coming in, and I had heard from several people, you should get into real estate. You should get into real estate. And then when not so many men were saying it and more women kept saying it, I took that more to heart. And so I was just like, I should really think about this. And we have a longtime family friend who was a very successful lender for like 30 plus years. And so I had asked her, I was like, okay, so this keeps coming up. Do you think I would do a good job? And she was like, oh my gosh, your personality is totally suit for it. You would kill it and have a blast. And so that's what segued me into real estate. Was just continuing hearing people telling me that my personality would have been a great fit. So that's the ultimate reason why I got into it.
I love that. And when you did you kind of dive in from the jump and you started full time as an agent, or were you still sort of working your career in the service industry for a little while?
I definitely was working my job as a bartender. I'm not like you see lots of amazing success stories from agents who been in the business 1 or 2 years and they just absolutely murdered it. That's not how my story went. I leaned on bartending because it was stable, right? And it's really scary with someone who has never had at that time a 100% commission driven type of career. And so that was really scary for me. And I let that fear propel lack of propelling me from moving forward. So I really didn't start taking off in my business till 2.5 years into it. So, and I feel I used to be really sad about that, but I have no problem, sharing about that now, because I feel you hear so many success stories oh, I've been doing it for 6 months and I'm just going crazy, or 2 years and I've done umpteen millions. And it's just I have become very successful, but I also beat myself up at the very beginning because I had friends who had been in the business for 4+ years, and I kept wondering why I was not succeeding like them, not really understanding where they got their beginning from. So the lack of confidence was definitely a detriment early on, but I definitely did not want to be the statistic of agents where 85 or 90% of people quit the first year. I could see why they do for sure, but I had committed to myself. I was the people who I had worked with, we connected really well, and I did a really successful job for them. And so my husband kept reminding me, he's like, you need to get out of the house because that's how you'll meet people. You're not going to get a lead sitting here working on your computer. And so I was like, fine, you're right. I'm not going to meet anyone if I don't leave the house. And every freaking time he would kick me out of the house, I would pick up a lead at a coffee shop. It was just meant to be. And so when I started realizing, oh, okay, I need to get the hell out of here and go meet people, my personality just showed through. My passion for doing the few deals that I had done at the time had really just shown through. And so then I hit the ground running once I got out of my own way.
I love that. And that's such a great point that you just made about the conversations, because I think a lot of times, I'm also a huge fan of social media. I know we'll talk about that a little bit here because you've used social media in a big way in your business. But I think that sometimes with social media being such a big tool in real estate, we overlook how important and valuable it is to just have conversations with people, and how that can really lead to some pretty immediate business, instead of kind of hiding behind social media, instead using it to really elevate, and create more of those conversations. So I love that you said that.
Yeah, for sure.
When it comes time to having those conversations, one question I hear a lot from newer agents, or even if they've been in the business for a while, but they're just like, oh, I struggle with bringing up that I'm in real estate, or that I'm a real estate agent, like organically in conversation in a way that feels easy. Is there a way that you found that it's best to kind of slip that into conversation without it feeling uncomfortable for somebody who's newer?
That is a great question. I love to talk. So, one of my top ways to get business outside of real estate, or outside of social media, excuse me, is to work from bars, because I was, as a bartender, I love to chit chat. I'm all about small talk and getting to know people. Like, I re energize by being social. So, I know that that's not for everybody. Like, I definitely have this weird trait that I got from my father when it comes to that. I can talk to a wall and somehow grab something from it by the end of the conversation. But to long answer to your question, I think that once you have the passion that drives you to stay in real estate, it gets a lot easier to talk about it. Once you have done enough deals to, feel in your heart that you've been the reason why people have achieved their real estate goals, whatever they may be, having the conversation is just a lot easier, because you have that confidence behind you that's like, well, I can talk about it. If they don't want to talk about it, then obviously don't lead your way into the conversation of talking about real estate if you cannot confidently talk about it in a way that seems organic. Now, I did have to practice this. Like, I had to learn. It's something that my husband taught me, that's like, you have to, like, prettiest girl at the prom syndrome. Don't talk to everybody about it, because not everybody cares, right? But if someone cares enough to talk to you and ask what you do, you can lead it into the conversation in a passionate way that's like, I love what I do, without having to make it seem like you're pushing them to talk about real estate. If they care, they'll want to drive the conversation with you.
I love that. And I do think that people can rate, like, feel your own excited energy. So if you are truly passionate about it, and you are, enjoy what you do, you enjoy talking about it, I feel like even if you're not yet the most knowledgeable person in the room, you still have that excitement around it. I think that people can feel that and kind of feed off of that energy.
Yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely. And I have gotten deals from people hearing me have conversations about real estate. You'll always hear me talk about coffee shops or bars, just because that's where I've had so much success getting organic business, just from people overhearing me talk about real estate. Like, I picked up a $1.5 million deal from having a conversation with this sweet older couple who had just gotten back from Costa Rica. We bonded about our love for Costa Rica. They asked what I do, and then we talked about the market. They left, and this couple behind me were like, hey, we've been actually in talks with a big builder out here, and we don't know if we should have an agent or not. Do you think we should? And so I was able to sell them on why they should have an agent, not necessarily using me. And then by the end of the conversation, we exchanged contact info, and then I got a call from them at 7:30 the next morning, and they were like, we'd like to hire you. And I was like, oh yeah.
That is amazing. Yeah, I love that concept. I mean, I'm somebody who I do enjoy going and working from, like, our office sometimes, but my boyfriend knows it. Every now and then I'm like, I'm going to go work from a coffee shop today, from a bar today, from one of my favorite restaurants. It just, not only does it, like, the new energy kind of feels good, but yeah, you put yourself in this environment to have conversations with people that you otherwise wouldn't have. So I love that that's a part of your strategy.
Mm-hmm.
I know that you also do quite a bit with social media. I know you teach a bit on social media. It seems to be a big tool that you've used in your business. Did you
Mm-hmm.
start with social media from the beginning, or was that something that came into kind of your strategy a couple years into it?
No, this actually, I've been in business for 9 years, and I've only really utilized social media for like the last 2 years.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. So I kind of got started just to have fun, and I was just putting fun stuff out there because I have a lot of fun with it. I enjoy educating people. I enjoy the recognition. I enjoy my clients seeing my content and just being like, "Oh my gosh, that was so funny." But I learned something in the captions. And then somehow it just happened to lead into getting, leads into my DMs, and they were like, "I love your content. I love your personality. Your energy is what I'm looking for in an agent. Would you be willing to meet, or I want to look at this house, da, da, da." So when that started happening, I was like, whoa, you can actually get business from this. And then
Yeah.
I just started to learn from, gurus all over YouTube. I started analyzing my competition. analyzing agents who also had success with getting getting leads from Instagram. And so then I was just like, just building and building and building, and kind of just consumed all the knowledge I could from all the free advice from YouTube. And then when I started getting agents messaging me and they were like, I see you're teaching on this, or I see you're growing really fast. Like, how do you do this? How do you do that? And so I was giving a lot of free advice for a long time. And I still do. Like, if someone has an easy question, I'm not going to gatekeep. Like, I want to build trust with my community. Community is huge. Community was already massive when it comes to my own sphere. So to be able to build on it in this way and help agents out has been really rewarding for me.
Yeah, no, I love that. And it's so true. I always say that social media is sort of our tool that can continue working when we aren't. You know, if you're like holding an open house, or you're dialing or doing any of these other kind of prospecting methods, that takes active effort. But social media, I can post something and for months from now, it's still generating new comments, new views, new DMs, new leads. And I think it's such a powerful way to kind of use that as a tool in your business. So that's
Oh,
awesome.
absolutely. Yeah. And I love the aspect of like understanding or thinking I can understand what's going on with the algorithm, at least for a week until they change it again. But it's been really lucrative in the sense that it's the one thing, just like what you mentioned, where you can continuously see growth. Right. And I love the fact that you can like within a week of posting something, you can understand and analyze why it worked or why it didn't work.
Yeah.
And I love that aspect, because for me, I'm always wanting to know what do you do to get better? What do we need to do to get better? And it's such an easy way to get feedback.
Yeah, no, it absolutely is. And it is so interesting. Sometimes it's frustrating to play with that algorithm and be like, wow, I really thought this video was going to hit and it just
Mhm.
didn't.
Yeah.
But it does tell you so much. And I love your mindset of kind of, how can I get better from this? How can I see what did work or didn't work? I think that that's definitely a key piece of using it as a tool. So that's really cool.
Yeah.
Do you find that do you use any sort of AI tools in your strategy or in your marketing or in your business?
Oh yeah. Yeah. GPT all the way.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Is that one you use mostly just for like content ideas, or what sort of an AI tool that you've used that you're like, wow, I didn't even realize this was possible, but it just saved me so much time?
Honestly, Chat GPT. I mean, I use it for so many things. I use it for helping me write my captions in my with my content, which it is all me. I just plug whatever I have wanted to say into like the little editor, and I go to Chat GPT and I ask it to reflect a different tone, just because I can speak just fine, but when it comes to copy, like I can't always get my point across, because I just love to add so many things. And so when that happens from me, it doesn't always seem to make the most sense. And so with my husband being so honest, there would be so times where he's like, babe, I understand the message that you were trying to get across in your captions. And he was like, but how can we make sure that like it really hits? And so then I started just learning more about Chat GPT and getting the chatbot to sound more like me and the tone that I'm really trying to relay. And it has just helped my copy so much. So now I've carried that over to like my automations for ManyChat. Oh, I guess that's another AI. I love ManyChat.
Yes.
And then also my emails as well. So it helps me write out like my newsletters and my emails to my clients that I drip on. That's one thing that I've never really liked with the CRMs that I've had over the last 9 years, is that the drip campaigns are so inauthentic and they're so robotic, and it just none of them sounded like me, so I'd never used them. So now I have a perfect platform with Chat GPT that now I've given so much information that it just gets me. And so over time it has started to understand the tone that I'm always looking for, so I rarely ever have to go correct it.
Yeah.
And that's been super helpful, because having to go in and edit all of the emails from the drip campaigns that CRMs provide, it was just exhausting knowing I'm already like not the most confident with copy, but at least I was able to get some sort of tone across that, sounded more like me than like the generic drips that it would just send people.
Yeah. No, I love that's a perfect use of Chat GPT. I think people need to really invest a little bit of time into kind of training it. But if you do, you can get such incredible results out of it and truly like
Mhm.
use it for I always say I feel like majority of us are probably not even scratching the surface with what you can really do with Chat
Oh,
GPT,
yeah.
because there's just like unlimited options. I follow this guy that teaches all kinds of like advanced ways to use it. And it blows my mind every time the amount of things that AI can do. It's pretty cool.
It's so intimidating, but I like what I have so far because it's working for me, but I know I can expand on that. But for me, it's like I'm always trying to like absorb like a sponge, but sometimes that's also to my detriment because I'm just like, oh, that was a lot. So I just need to go back to what I was focusing on and like put a note that I need to go back and also learn that. But that's the hard thing about social media is that if you don't have some sort of AI to help you streamline at least like your topics you want to point on or helping you like develop your firm content pillars that you want to make sure that you're getting content out on for your audience and specifically your audience, then it's hard. Like your brain's already working on so much trying to keep your real estate business going, let alone your own personal life. So I think without Chat GPT, it would just go back to being unnecessarily tough because it is so much to already run a real estate business that's
Yeah.
successful.
No, we're definitely wearing all of the hats all the time. And then also
Mhm.
trying to manage social media and be creative and do all this kind of stuff is definitely not an easy undertaking. That is for sure.
No, for sure. I don't know. I totally like commend the people who do it with full families. Like I don't have children yet, and I'm just like, "Ugh." They're making it happen and they do it. So like I'll be coming to them one day and I'm like, all right, how do you keep everything together?
I know. I'm always blown away by that too. It is absolutely wild. So I know that you do a lot of video content. I see like the reels you do, a lot of that's like talking videos where you kind of set up your camera. Do you use any sort of additional equipment or is everything that you do for the most part just with your phone? Or what do you think is like an essential for an agent who wants to start creating content but doesn't know where to kind of begin?
Yeah, that's a great question. As far as tools, I do have a collapsible tripod that I carry around. It fits right inside of my laptop bag or I mean like a bigger purse, which is nice. This little handheld
Yes,
portable
it's the
light is
best.
amazing. I absolutely love it. The lighting's phenomenal and it's easily adjustable and it goes on just about everything. And then I have what is this thing? What's it called? It's a 360-degree like automatic like extension to my tripod, or I can't think of the word right now, but it's just an additional tool that it moves with you when it's turned on. Like like
Oh,
right now, I just have it setting on my desk and I have it
uh-huh.
turned off so it doesn't move as I move as well. But it's really cool for if you're doing content like a video tour of a property and you don't have someone necessarily coming with you. I've done a lot of property tours where I haven't had to have like a videographer with me just because I have like the motion added in this aspect of this little tool here, and I have the tripod that's super lightweight and it's easy to collapse and ready to go, and then light. So definitely a collapsible tripod, this portable light, and this 360-degree. I just can't think of what the name of it is. Little like motion detected attachment.
Yeah,
These are
I
the
think
three
I know
things
what
that
you're
keep
talking
me
about,
going.
but I can't think of the name of it either. But those things are so nice to have it kind of track you as you walk through somewhere.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Oh, and then obviously a stabilizer. So like I have a gimbal also that I'll carry around sometimes when I'm doing video footage. So you're not like it's not, detecting you're walking as you're taking your steps up and
Yeah.
down.
Yeah, no, that's true. Well, I think that one of probably the biggest changes that people could see is instantly with that light that you just showed or one
Mhm.
similar. It's so crazy when you don't have that light versus when you click it on. The difference in camera quality and how it
Oh
looks is
yeah.
just like insane. It looks like a completely different device.
Oh, for sure. And then for us women, when our makeup, like lighting is everything, especially if you're like, not that it really matters to anyone who's listening, but like as women who are a little bit insecure sometimes about their features, I have huge dark circles. And if I don't have a light, you're gonna see them and it's gonna catch me off guard
Yeah.
for myself, right? So even if it's just for selfish reasons, other than just overall quality, it's huge. It's a confidence booster. Like, why
Yeah.
not?
Yeah, no, absolutely. I definitely agree with that. And that is one of the things that the guys never feel our pain on. But I'm like, we have so many more factors that we have to think about before we can just pop up a camera and record something. It really is kind of wild.
Yeah, it really is. But they listen to it and they deal with it anyway. And whatever keeps us happy.
That is very true. So I know that you mentioned ManyChat, which I'm also a huge fan of the ManyChat tool. With that, are you usually using like lead magnets? Is that part of your strategy to give away different freebies? Or how are you usually using ManyChat in your business to kind of generate more engagement or more leads?
So I usually use ManyChat mostly for lead capture. I have a lead magnet inside of my stand store. Um, I'll usually come up with different ones because I kind of noticed that I like to rotate out different freebies because old ones kind of get stale and you want to be able to attract more people. So if I post a reel and I tell my target audience they can get something of free of value if they just comment the keyword, and it just streamlines the whole process, connected it to my stand store. It takes them directly to the link to download the freebie that they need. And then boom, I have contact information. And then I just drop them all into, a valuable drip, not just a generic drip, because as we found out earlier, like I'm very intentional when it comes to drips. So yeah, that's exactly what I use it for, is mostly for a lead magnet.
Yeah. No, I love that. It's a really valuable way to get those in the hands of people. And then, of course, drive some of that engagement too. It's definitely really helpful.
Mm-hmm.
So
Yeah,
I
but it
see that
shocks
you,
me how many people don't actually utilize it. Like a
I
lot, a lot of
know.
my students are like, "Oh, I haven't been able to get it work, or it's too intimidating." And I'm just like, "If I can figure it out, I know you can do it." And so that's
Yes.
basically what I teach is, which I guess we can kind of get to later if you want
Yeah.
to talk about that
No,
later.
go for it. Tell us about kind of how you help other agents mostly to figure out how to implement some of these systems as well.
Yeah, so I'm actually I have a guide out already where it kind of teaches the entire process. Basically, what I teach is creating a lead magnet, a valuable lead magnet for your target audience, and also helping you define your target audience, your pillars, and stuff like that. And then learning the basics of Instagram on how to brand yourself, putting out specific content that's just for your audience, and branding it in a way to where when they consistently see that, they're going to be like, "Oh, is that Brittany's?" before they even see your name, right? Because that's the biggest part about branding yourself in general as a business on Instagram, is people getting familiar with your content style. And so then I teach people how to create a lead magnet specifically for their audience, put it together in Stand Store just like I have, and then put out content that is specific to get leads. And it's super, super simple. I just don't understand how enough people haven't been able to grasp this concept yet. And I've learned just from observing other agents who have taught the same thing for free and going to YouTube. And so a lot of it's just taking time to analyze, what are other people doing that's working. And so now I'm just going to be capitalizing on that with people in my audience who already trust me and are super excited for it. So I'm ready to go. I'm pumped. So it's
That
coming
is
out at the
awesome.
end of August.
Okay, very cool. And so if people want to come and learn that from you or learn or see any of what you're doing, is the best place to find you on Instagram, or what's the best place to get connected with you?
Yeah, best place to get connected with me is through Instagram. Yeah.
Awesome. And what is your handle? We'll link it in the show notes for anyone, but just for anyone who's only listening to the audio, how can they find you?
You can find me on Instagram at the social realtor Brit.
Love that. Okay. So definitely make sure that you guys go and connect with Brittany. It really is so true. I mean, I use tons of different lead magnets and ManyChat and all this stuff in my business and my strategy as well. And it is just mind blowing how well it works. And it's true. Once you start doing it consistently, it seems like, why isn't everyone doing this? Like, it seems like such a given,
Mhm.
but there's still so many people who are not even aware that that's possible. So I think that's awesome that you're teaching other people how to do that too.
Yeah, and I'm really excited. I get a lot of, and this is why I think I have so much success in real estate, is because I get so much gratification whenever I help people achieve their goals. Like I'm a middle child, so I'm always been the one who's like, enjoy the little pat on the back for doing something right. But when
Yeah.
it's on as big of a scale as this, is when it comes to real estate, like it's so empowering. It's so empowering for myself, and it makes me so happy. It truly keeps me going. And then I have also found this within, helping agents grow their following and turn, those followers into actual real estate leads, because I've done it myself. But this is before I even had a strategy. So now that I've learned what the right steps are and how to create content that are going to just magnetize people to continue coming to your page to look to you for advice on said specific area, it's so cool knowing that I've had some people come to me or buy my guide or have a strategy call with me that have actually implemented the stuff that I teach them, and they're like, I got a lead, or
Yeah.
I used one of the strategies that you said about when someone did this or that, and now I have a seller lead that I'm meeting with next week, and I'm like, hell yeah, let's
Yeah.
go. It's
It's
really,
so
really so
great.
cool.
Yeah, it's so great to see it work for you, but then it's even better to see it work for somebody else that you're teaching, because you're like, yes, this really does work for
Yeah,
everyone. That's really
exactly.
cool. Well, so if you were talking to a brand new agent and I mean, from my experience, I talk with a lot of new agents, work with a lot of new agents. I hear that like one of the biggest things they struggle with is sort of where to start. Because I'm a big believer that most strategies will work. There's so many different strategies that can work, but it's really
Hmm.
about kind of choosing one and focusing on it and really running with that. So if you had a new agent who came to you just like so overwhelmed and kind of they had the deer in the headlights look, what would you tell a brand new newbie realtor on a best way to pick what's going to work for them and then kind of run with it? Like, what would be your advice to a new agent who wants to have some of the success that you've had?
Yeah, I would definitely start learning the ropes of Instagram and Facebook and TikTok. I mostly prioritize Instagram because I'm a firm believer in sticking to one thing that works. Now,
Yeah.
I know that I can recreate content and repurpose content for other things. I'll get there. I've got other stuff I'm working on. But I would say make sure that when it comes to lead generation outside of Instagram, try to find one specific way that you enjoy getting leads. I tried cold calling, I did door knocking, I did open houses. I have hosted events where people are new in town. So my number one favorite way to get leads outside of Instagram is to be face to face. So open houses are fantastic because they're already coming to you with their hand raised saying they're looking for a house. Now, if they have an agent or not, it does matter, but at the same time, it doesn't matter because if you can provide a knowledgeable, valuable impact to somebody, I've had several people who have become clients of mine when they have already had an agent at an open house. And then they contact me, a couple weeks later or a week later, a few days later and say, hey, I know we said we have an agent and we do, but we really like the way that you presented X, Y, and Z. We feel like our personalities mesh well. So if someone says they have an agent, sometimes they do, sometimes they don't. So that's one thing at an open house. But make sure that you can provide value in a way that allows you to do so confidently and passionately, because that's what's going to get you business. Like I said, I did door knocking and cold calling. As a petite female, I just didn't feel super confident doing door knocking. I did really well at it and I got business from it, but it was too labor intensive for me. Like, honestly, it's hot in Texas and you're just not pretty whenever people answer. You're like, oh, here we go. But I did cold calling. I hate receiving cold calls. I am not so nice when I receive cold calls, but I'm glad I did it for the few months that I did because it taught me how to have the right conversations, right? But I don't like it. So, long answer to your question. When it comes to Instagram, definitely keep focused on what is going to help you get business from Instagram because it's definitely underutilized when it comes to real estate. And outside of real estate I'm so sorry, I'm all over the place, but outside of Instagram, find a lead generation source that makes you happy because that is what will bring you the most comfort when it comes to lead generation because it doesn't have to suck. And for a long time, it sucks. So find a lead generation way outside of social media that you enjoy because that is where you'll get the most business.
I love that. And I can certainly relate to the door knocking. I did that too. I'm located in Scottsdale. So I
Oh
went
yeah,
out
it's
in
hot.
like the heat of the summer. And I remember one of my first ever door knocking days, I had heels on. I was like, okay, I'm going to try and look as good and professional as possible. And my feet were, I mean, probably bleeding by the end of that day. It was just brutal. So yeah, the door knocking was not necessarily my favorite strategy, though it does work. Again,
It
all of
does
these
work.
things can work.
Yeah.
It's just a matter of, I love that you said, yeah, find one that you enjoy and one that fits your personality. Because some people,
Mhm.
like you were saying, you kind of have that gift of gab and you can talk to whoever and you can chat with people and love being face to face. Sometimes others are more comfortable behind the phone or doing a webinar or doing something else. So finding something I think that fits your personality a little bit and kind of what
Mhm.
you're interested in. I love that advice. I think that's really powerful.
And I have one more thing that's also worked for me. So
Yeah.
make sure that you spend a healthy amount of time at the office, not an unhealthy amount of time at the office. Because kind of like what my husband was trying to help me with early on in my business, I definitely stayed home because I was in fear of having real estate conversations. I just was. Because I didn't know everything yet, right? So I felt like I didn't want to leave the house and have those conversations and feel like I was falling short. But that was only on me. I definitely knew what I was doing. I had enough deals under my belt to know how to have the conversation. You just have to get out of your own way. But also, I then went from doing a bunch of business and meeting people to spending a lot of time at the office because I was on a team at the time. We were required to be there X amount of days a week for X amount of hours. And one day I was like, I'm not going to meet new people here. And I love my realtor friends, but like there's enough realtors around here and I love you guys, but like I don't need to be hanging around so many realtors. I need to go out there and get more business, right? So this is why working from bars and working from coffee shops where I'm just consistently, in the thick of working, having conversations with people on the phone about real estate or their deals or whatever, people need to hear how you have those conversations and you never know what could actually come of it once you're done working, once you close your laptop or once you get off the phone. So that has been extremely successful for me, is spending a healthy time at the office.
I
And
love
now
that.
I rarely go unless it's for like classes.
Yeah. Yeah. No, that definitely makes sense. I think sometimes we can get too comfortable being in a space that's like our little comfort bubble and we're not pushing
Mhm.
ourselves to go have those new conversations and like new experiences.
Mhm.
I know that you mentioned a few times now that you've generated business from like bars, coffee shops, restaurants, whatever it is. Do you tend to go to the same places regularly and that's kind of where you've set up camp or your office for the day? Or do you try to rotate and go to different places all the time?
So that's a great question. I actually got this strategy from a book I read early on in my career called The Seven Levels of Communication. So one of the strategies that this author had done for his own sales business was he stuck to going to like two restaurants consistently. And the reason why you want to do that is because you want people to start to know you, right? So the bartenders, the staff, the management, all those people, when you're up there working and building relationships with them, they start knowing you. Oh, it's Brittany, the realtor. Brittany, the realtor who works in said area. And so I have gotten several leads from helping the people, the staff buy or sell houses. And on top of that, any regular who comes in there that I don't know, who the bartender knows, I'll sit there and they're like, oh yeah, this is Brittany. She does X, Y, and Z. So like they're selling me for me without even realizing it. So it's all about building that little sense of community within the places that you go. So, and I would also bring clients up there because I somehow always mesh with people who are also super outgoing and extroverted. And so when the deal's over and it's time to go like build onto that friendship, it's like I'll bring a client there and either a regular will come in who I've talked to many times. And so then my clients, they're like, oh yeah, she just helped us buy or helped us sell. People around hear that. And so it just continues to build, like it's a domino effect. And it has been a fantastic strategy. Definitely the best thing I took from that book that has just, helped me tenfold.
Yeah. No, I love that. That is a really good point and a really great strategy that I think more agents can implement. And, just treating it like it is truly a part of your lifestyle, not just a job or a career that you've chosen, but it's really like a part of what you do and enjoy doing on a daily basis, I think is a really, really important way to make it a long-term thing for people.
Yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely. And that's what a lot of people don't understand early on is that the more conversations you have, it may not bring you right now business, but you're always having to work for, that 3 months down the road business.
Yeah.
Right. And so this is also the power of social media is that once you meet people and have those conversations, instead of honestly giving your phone number out, give them your Instagram.
Mhm.
That way you can start, that relationship outside of the phone, which it also feels less salesy. And I'm not a hard salesperson. It's never worked for me. It doesn't work on me. So that's just not how I sell. And obviously in real estate, most people want to trust you first, like trust you as a person, and then they'll likely have an easier transition trusting you when it comes to business.
Yeah. No, that's so true. I used to always say like one of my favorite pieces of feedback when I would meet someone in person is for them to be like, "Oh, you're just like you are online." I'm like, that's the goal, right? Because if you use
Mhm.
social media like you're saying, it allows you to really kind of break through that like, know, and trust factor with people even before you've met them, or maybe you met them quickly in passing, but you just get to solidify that kind of, connection and relationship even more. So I think it's a
Mhm.
really powerful tool.
Yeah, and I love what you just said. I think that's so huge is getting business from social media is almost kind of like getting a referral as far as the trust factor, because it was hard for me at first when I was like, why am I not getting as much business early on when it comes to open houses? I'm like, I'm so fun. Like, I'm so bubbly. I'm so knowledgeable. But it's like, they don't trust you. Just because you're holding the house open does not mean they owe you anything. Right now, neither does anyone else who comes to you from Instagram. But if they've studied enough of your content, like unconsciously binged it, they already have a huge understanding of like what your personality and your energy is going to be like. And I know that I'm too much for some people, which is totally fine. But the people who come to me from Instagram, they're like, I love your personality, like I love the energy you exude. And I'm like, great, you're my person.
Yes. No, I love that. And I think it's so good too to give people the opportunity to like binge content. Cause I know
Mhm.
my own personal style. I definitely will go and I'll scroll through people's content and I'll watch it and I'll consume it and I'll watch their highlights and all that stuff. And so I think that and you've pointed this out a few times, like you're doing what you would do as a consumer, right? Like you're
Mhm.
saying, oh, I don't want to call because I don't enjoy getting calls. I don't want to do this because I don't enjoy that on the other side. And so I think that's a great thing for agents to think of too is, how do you like to interact with people? And then treating your future clients the same way, because then you're more likely to attract people that are at least similar or aligned with kind of your personality and your
Oh
style.
yeah.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, and working with like-minded people definitely makes however long from the time that you start showing them houses to closing, it makes it so much easier, right?
Yeah.
If you guys can truly mesh and you like each other and your personalities, you just get it, then you could work with them for a year and it just feels like 3 months.
Yeah. No, I love that. Well, you have shared so much valuable stuff with us today. Thank you so, so much for doing that.
Yeah.
Remind the audience one more time where the best place is to connect with you. And if there's anything, I know you have your program launching at the end of August. If you want to talk a
Mhm.
little bit more about that so they know exactly how to get connected and learn what you teach.
Yeah, thank you for having me on. I really appreciate it. I was super excited to see that you DM'd me. I've been following you for a while too, and I'm like, okay, cool. She knows who I am. I'm Brittany Noblejack. I'm a real estate agent. I focus in luxury real estate here in the North Dallas area. I've been in business now for almost 9 years, and I am a native Texan, so I know all the ins and outs of everything DFW. I am also a Instagram growth coach for real estate agents. And so at the end of the month, I'm actually launching a course for 20 agents at a time for 8 weeks. We're going to be having several modules that we're going to be going through that I'll have dripping over those 8 weeks. So you're going to be learning all the ins and outs of Instagram, how to brand yourself as a real estate agent, how to create a lead magnet that gets you leads. So you're creating content that doesn't fall flat and you're not wasting your time just creating content. You're actually going to get business from Instagram to your real estate business, which if you're going to be spending as much time as we do on Instagram promoting ourselves, you might as well be getting leads from it and not waste your time. So I'll be launching that for the first 20 members at the end of August. I'm really excited about that. And I also have a few digital products for agents just to kind of help streamline their content creation process. I have an extensive list of 385 scroll stopping hooks because if you've been following me or if you don't, you'll notice that a trend with my content is like hooks matter. If you can't hook people within the first 3 seconds, then your content's going to fall flat. Your engagement's going to be awful. Your insights aren't going to be great. And they're just going to move on. So I'm all about helping people streamline the content creation process and not waste your time when it comes to creating content. So yeah, come follow me. You can find me on Instagram at the social realtor Brit and connect with me. Send me a DM. Would love to help you or just chat with you. So don't be afraid to reach out. I love talking to people.
Yes, I love it. So we will link her profile down in the show notes as well. But if you're just an audio listener, be sure to jump on Instagram and go find the social realtor Brit. Connect with her. Let her know you found her on this podcast if you did, and definitely take a look at learning more about how to turn your social media into a lead generation machine, because that is definitely possible 2024 and beyond. So thank you again,
Absolutely.
Brittany, for joining us, and we
Of
can't wait to
course.
see you next time.
Thanks for having me, Tessa.